All right, good day, everyone. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
That's great.
How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. Alive and thankful. All right, so just writing up those names. So welcome. As I just go through your names, make sure I get everyone. Ray, welcome again. Thumbs up. Daniel C, good to see you again too. Welcome. Clemente.
Thank you.
Welcome as well. Maceo, good to have you today. Welcome.
How you doing, Mr. Ray?
I'm doing well, thank you very much. Beatrice.
Yeah.
Welcome again. Good to see you. Or your name. All right, got you. Stacy. You're new, Stacy?
Hi.
Yeah, did you email me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going through my emails and saw it. So welcome, Stacy. Were you able to get the books? Did they give you the books for the class?
Yeah, the paper books.
Yeah, you should have two books, student book and a workbook.
Yeah, I have them.
Okay, perfect. And I'll tell you more about them as we go on. Just letting some more.
Okay.
Great.
Jacob, how you doing, Jacob?
I'm well. Yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you very much.
Good. Glad to hear.
And Gozi, you had emailed me as well. I sent you this link. So welcome, Ngozi. If you can hear me. And Justine, welcome as well again.
Thank
Marina.
you.
All right, you're welcome. Susanna Rodriguez, welcome again. And then we have Daniel N. Welcome, Daniel. And also have here Crystal Cortez. Crystal, I believe you're new as well, right?
Yes.
Okay, and hopefully you have those books that they gave out. You should have got them from the school.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And Norma.
Yes.
Norma, what's your last name? I have a few Normas, and I just want to make sure I get the right Norma.
Meza, M-E-Z-A.
Okay, thank you. And Dorcas, welcome back again.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. And Maritza,
Yes, here.
welcome as well. Maritza, you've been here before, right?
Last week was my first day.
Right, okay, I thought I recognized the name. All right, so as usual, we do have new persons, and hopefully everyone gets here. I know they're gonna really try to fill this classroom up. Somebody just came in, not sure, you have a 0 there, not sure if it should be an O. If you could just let me know, is it Mube? Latavia.
Hi, sir. Good evening. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. Just trying to see who that was. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, so as usual, normally we have people coming in up until about 10 after, and some more people are getting home from work. I'm pretty sure some of you guys are rushing home and whatnot. Let me just let in George. All right, so just remember, we are on fractions. And hopefully no one's having any issues. So I was, forgive me for, I think Norma, you might have sent me a message about not getting the worksheet.
No, I got it.
Okay, so someone else with the last name Meza had sent me a message.
You know what? I didn't receive one either. I
So-
didn't know you had sent one out.
Yeah, me too. I did it.
Same here.
So it sounds like it didn't go through then. Sometimes
Yeah,
that
I didn't get
happens.
mine either.
I assumed that the
Me
worksheet
too.
went through, and apparently it did not. So let me
Okay.
just check again.
I didn't know you had sent one out.
Yeah, well, I attempted to. Apparently it didn't make it.
Okay, yeah. Well, I did, I know I missed last class, but I did start, I read both books on my own and I started trying to do the exercises. I got a little bit stuck though, but
Oh, okay.
hopefully I'll pick up from today.
Well, yeah, that's good, as long as you're making up. So I'm seeing, yeah. All right, so that's the, I'm not sure what happened there.
Yeah, Mr. Ray, did you get my message? I messaged you as well, and I was asking about the worksheet, and I never got a reply. I don't know if you got my message. So,
Who just, sorry, I had the thing closed. Who's
that
this?
was Daniel Calzada.
Daniel, I don't see a message from you. Sometimes remind, did you send it in remind?
Yeah,
Let me go back there.
but I
Sometimes,
remember you said last week you were having problems with it, so.
yeah. Let me see. Yeah, I don't see a message from you.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens though. Like, I don't know what happens, or it doesn't really register. Okay, I see yours right now. Yeah, it got mixed in with some. Yeah, so I'm seeing this now. I'm not sure. I thought the worksheet went through, and I tried it a second time, and I still didn't go through. Well, that's a bad on my part, so forgive me for that. Not sure why it didn't go through. Let me just, I'm gonna send it anyhow again, so just bear with me real fast. This time I can really see if it goes through or not. All right, let me try this again.
Hi, Miss Aaron.
Good day. Who just came in? Did I let you in, or I missed?
Singozi, you called me before I was.
Oh, okay. Yes, got you.
Yeah, can
Thank
I ask you a question?
you. Sure.
Is this the book you are talking about?
Your camera's off.
Is it off my camera?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Did you see
Okay.
that?
Yes, that's it right there. You should have two of them.
The only one they gave me.
Oh, okay. Well, you could get around that. Yeah, they should have gave you two. They've been given. Everyone else got two, right? Those who are new. I think I asked.
Yep.
Give me only one.
Yeah, you can always ask again. You can tell them that that was the requirement under the distance learning,
Okay, okay,
because I do assign work from the workbook as well.
okay.
And then those who are new, hopefully you have the Remind app already. If not, you can use this time just to download that either on your smartphone, a tablet, or you can access it through a website, www.remind.com. And it's very simple, just Remind. If you search that in any app store from your tablet or smartphone, and if you don't have that, either of them, you can just go to remind.com and you can get the code, the access there. And I'm just sending what the code is. Once you get there, it's going to prompt you to join with the following code.
Okay.
All right, so I'm just going to resend. I'll send and send some more worksheets in the Remind app. So you should see that hopefully this time. And this time I will know if you don't. All right, so we got fractions.
Yep.
All right.
I just got something.
I heard the ding. Somebody's one went off.
Yeah.
All right, let me send another one there.
I got it.
That's the second one. All right, so that's what was supposed to be sent. So I'll just say I got an order. All right, so then the last one here, let me just do that and prefer to mix. All right, those of you who are new, you want to definitely sign up for the Remind app. That's where normally the worksheets will show up on time, but you should have them now. So since we're still doing fractions, that's still good to have. Now back to the matter at hand, the workbook. Any questions from the workbook since the worksheets did not make it there? Does anyone have any questions from the
Yeah,
workbook?
I do.
All right, and what numbers?
Let me get my notebook real quick. um,
Let me see if I have on 22, so show 21. All right, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead. So wasn't sure who had asked, who had the question.
Question number 13.
So number 13, and for those who do have the workbook, that's where we're getting the question from. So number 13 on page 16, that's correct?
12. I'm on the wrong one. I'm on the wrong page.
Page 12.
yeah.
Oh, so this was from the integers.
Oh, my bad.
No, that's fine. We can still do that one. So page, I forget which number it was. Number 13, you said?
Yeah, page 12, number 13.
All right, page 12, number 13. So this is from the integers. We had started fractions last week, right?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. All right, so this is from the integers, so number 13. So this is in the workbook. So for those who are new, just kind of a orientation, quick one. Normally after homework is assigned, if you have any questions from the workbook, that's where most of the assignment will come from. You can ask for clarification at the beginning of the class. So that's what we're about to do now. So remember, the workbook is the one that has the green title there. The blue one is the student book. We use that during the class time. The workbook has more questions, so that allows for more practice and opportunity for clarification. All right, so number 13 says, Scott went golfing at a local course. He shot even par over the first 9 holes, then shot +3 on each of the next 3, -4 over par on each of the next 3, and -1 over par on each of the final 3. What was his score for the round? So if you have, if you've done golf before, you know that those minuses are better. But what you want to do here is at the end of the scorecard, after playing a round of golf, you want to add up to see what your score is and what's the lowest that you will have. So we're going to go ahead and add those up. And let me change the screen and just let Sergio in real fast. For those of you who are following along, you can go ahead and try to work that one out. So welcome, Sergio. Sergio. All right, so anyway, let's go over, let me share my screen and we can start that one. All right, so first of all, he shot even par on the first 9 holes. And we're assuming this is an 18-round game, and that's shown because it's 9 in the first. And even par just means that he has a regular score. So that means we only need to worry about the last 9. So for the last 3, let's just say the 10th. So we have the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th. All right, so for the first 9, he had an even par. So for the next one, what happens? He has how much? +3 on +3 on each of the next what?
3.
On each of the next 3. So that means until which one?
13.
Until 13, right? So we have +3, +3, +3. Then he gets to the next one, and it's -4 over par on each of the next 3. So what is that? -4 until when?
15.
15th. And then he got -1 over par on each of the final 3. So -1, -1, -1. All right, and they want to know what was his score for the final round. So what you're gonna have to do here is simply add them up using your understanding of integers and see how much is he over. Is he 2 under par, 1 under par, even par, and 2 over par? All right, so let's add those up. If you add them up, how much will you get here?
9.
That's 9. Okay, if you add these ones up, how much will you get?
12.
-12. And if you add these one up, how much will you get?
-3.
-3.
Oh, posible que la cambie.
All right, let's see if I read that. And then you got the other ones that are even par over the first 9. All right, I'm just gonna mute everyone real fast. And just remember when you're ready, just to turn on your mic there. All right, so we have 9 minus 12. How much would that be?
-3.
-3. And then if we have another -3,
-6.
it's going to be -6. And now we need to take in the other ones. Hold on, let me look at this one carefully. Oh, okay, hold on, I reread that. I read that wrong. So I was looking, this is not going to work out. So sorry about that. Hold on. Let's start this one over. Okay, so for the 13th, from the 10th, 11th, 12th, those 3, he actually shot a +3. So I read that wrong. So for that one, he shot a +3 for those 3. And then -4 on the next one. So 13th, 14th, 15th, he shot a -4. And then on the last 3, I'll just put last 3, he put a -1. All right, so now if we add them up, we have a 3 minus a 4 minus a 1.
It's gonna be a -1.
Right, so we actually close. What's 3 minus 4?
3 minus 4?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
-7, -7.
okay, when you said minus
Oh,
1,
it's a plus, it's a plus. Sorry, yeah.
just to check on you, when you said 3 minus 4, when you said -1, did you mean for the first 2 or for the all 3?
For the whole thing.
Okay, so, well, for the first part, it's -1.
Okay, -2.
Right, so then we have another -1.
Yeah, sorry about that.
-2. So, does this represent under par, over par, even par, or 1 under par?
Under par.
Right, so this means 2 under par. So which one would that be?
A.
Right, so the answer there would be A. All right, does that help? I think that was Salvador who had asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Sorry for the first part. I read it wrong. I thought it said shot 3 on each of them.
Yeah, I did the same thing when we first did this.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the language of this one was a bit tricky. I think it was wrong personally, but I see what they mean after I read it a second time. But so it sounded like he was saying he got +3 on each round at each hole, but it was saying over the 3 holes, he got +3, which means he got +1 on each one.
+1.
Yeah, basically that's what. So yeah, that one was a bit
Hi, Mr. Ray.
different. Yeah,
Stop interrupting you. What number is in the workbook?
this was number 13,
Number 13.
and that was page
Well,
Page what?
12.
12. Okay. Because I'm not getting what you're doing. All right.
Yeah, so do you see the number now? Was that Ngozi who had asked?
Hey, Mr. Ray. Yeah, I'm on page 12, exercise 13 from integers,
Who's
and
calling?
that's not the one that I have.
You're on the workbook,
Mr.
I
Ray,
am in the workbook, yes.
and you're on page 12, number 13, and you have something else?
Yeah, it's a different problem.
And on the top, does it say master the skill?
Yes, sir.
What do you have for number 12?
A submarine is at 33,299 feet.
And then your number 13 says what?
It says Scott ran in a race, and he started
Okay,
moving
I
up
think I know
positions.
yeah, so what happened there? This happened before, I just remembered. For some, I think you have the 2014 book. Is that true? If you look to the second page, like literally the just go to the very beginning of the book.
What was your question?
I was trying to see what copyright you have.
Oh,
I think you have the 2014 edition, and that happened in another
yeah.
class.
Yep.
You have 2014?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I have 2013, and Salvador, I'm guessing, has 2013. This popped up before in another class where 2014 had different problems.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so if you guys know how to check to see what edition you have, if you have the 2014, your number 13 is different than ours.
Because this guy has a 2013 edition, no, 2014 edition, and then other people have 2013 edition, so he doesn't even get the same problem that we have.
Right, so yeah, it doesn't happen with every problem, but more than likely, this how additions work. People are probably confused about that number 13, and so for the next year, they changed the question.
Hey, Mr. Ray.
Mr. Ray?
A little late.
Okay, I had 2 people just calling just now, so let me go. I'm not sure who called, so I have
This is William.
Hey, William?
William. I was having computer problems. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. I think I have you down. No, I don't. I'm glad you said something because I must have let you in and didn't write your name down.
Okay.
And so who's the second person?
Justine?
Yes, Justine?
I have the 2014
Right.
book, but my number 13 and 12 are the same as yours.
What? That is crazy.
Yeah, so I have the Scott Went Golfing for the 2014 edition.
Okay, well, that's something new then. Well, thank you for the update there. Other than that, I'm not sure what to say, but normally that's the case. Normally with the new edition, they change a problem based off of the difficulty of the question or the confusion it might have caused. So I'm assuming that's why they changed it, but if your 2014 is saying that, I'm not sure what to say there. And you checked it at the very beginning of the book?
Yes.
Where it says copyright?
Yes.
Okay.
It says at 2014.
Yeah, that's strange. Well, don't worry about it. If that happens, then you just ask your question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, but thank you for the update. Now at least I know why somebody could be confused a bit. All right, so I just let someone in, but because I was talking, I did not get who it was. Oh, Marisol. Okay, so let me just get Marisol. Any other questions, though, dealing with any of the homeworks that we've done?
I do have one for fractions.
Okay, so this is the fraction question. So this is going to be unit lesson 4. And it's from
Yes,
the workbook, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and what number?
It's believe. Am I on the right one? Let me give it. Okay, so it's gonna be number 6.
Number 6. All right,
Is
so
it number 6?
it has a
And
table and list them in order.
yeah. Oh no, wait. I got that one right.
Okay.
Okay. So I got stuck with 12. Oh my goodness, I just lost it. I was having a hard time making a normal fraction, make it a mixed fraction, and then simplifying a mixed fraction.
All right, and
Or
we're kind of touching on that today. So great question, and you can see
okay.
why that could cause a little bit of confusion. When you find it, let me know. I guess I
Yeah.
can make up one of them for now. But keep looking just to see. Was it number 14?
No, it was closer. It was within the first 10.
Okay. Well, I'll make up a question for now just to go over how you can simplify, changing it from an improper fraction to a mixed number and then simplify. So this is kind of a review and also kind of restarting what we learned. So let's say we had, let's say 27, and hopefully this works. I am making it up. 27 over 12. That might work. It should work. All right, so the first thing, to turn it into a mixed number. Remember, who remembers? What do we have to do?
You divide.
Find the greatest common factor.
Yeah, so well, that's to simplify it. So you could simplify it first and then turn it to a mixed number. But since he's asking to do it the other way around, I'm going to first divide it and then simplify as well. So those who said greatest common factor, we're going to do that last. So we want to see how many times can 12 go into 27.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, on the side, you could do long division if you can't remember. But hopefully you know your multiples. And remember, that's why we said to go over the multiples on a regular, as that will assist you. So we want to see how many times can 12 go into 27. Remember, that's the same as saying 12. Say it again. 12 into 7, right? So yes, it goes 2 times because 12 times 2 is 24. And what is the remainder once you subtract?
3.
3, right? You get a remainder of 3. So that remainder, remember, goes on the top. And on the bottom is the divisor. So it's 12 goes into 27 2 times with a remainder of 3, which goes on the top over the original divisor. Now, what you see here is once you get that mixed number, you notice that the fraction part has common factors, right? And so we are looking for the greatest common factor. In this case, the only factor that is in between them is the greatest common factor. And what is the greatest common factor between 3 and 12?
3 and 4.
3, right? So we're going to divide both the top, the numerator, and the denominator by 3. All right, so when we do that, we're going to get 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Right, now if we've done this right, if we were to work our way backwards, we could get back to 27 over 12. We would have to use this one in its non-reduced form. So if I had 2 and 3/12 and I wanted to take it back to an improper fraction, remember we multiply the denominator with the whole number. 12 times 2 is 24. And then the result of that, we add. So 12 times 2 is 24, plus 3 gives us 27 over 12. Right, and so that's the 2 ways to go back and forward between the 2. Similarly, if I wanted to do the way that somebody said first, if I like to reduce first, you could have done that. You could have had 27 over 12. You could have found the greatest common factor between the 2 of these. And it looks like it's 3 off the top of my head. So let's just do 3 for now. So 27 divided by 3 will give you 9. And And 12 divided by 3 will give you 4. And then you can say 4 goes into 9, 2 times with 1 left over, 4. So either of those ways could have been done. If you like to do greatest common factor first, as I heard someone say, you could do that. And if you prefer to do it the way that was asked, you could have done it that way. So either route will work as long as you remember to do it correctly, dividing both the numerator and the denominator. All right, were you able to find that question?
I guess this one, it was more the wording. It was number 10.
Oh, okay, yeah, sometimes the wording can be a bit weird, and the book, I'll just be honest, is not as accurate as the exam. The exam has been tested over and over by different people, so you shouldn't have any troubles with the wording when you get on the actual exam. But let's see what the wording says here. All right, well, first you got to read, for anyone who's joining in, this is number 10 on page 16 of the workbook. So you have to turn to the workbook. And on page 16 of the workbook, number 10, because this is a two-part question, it's based off of the paragraph and the number line before it. And it says the number line below represents the speeds in miles per hour for 5 cars labeled A through E. The time it takes the cars to travel 50 miles in H hours is given by 50 divided by the speed. For which car is the time it takes to go 50 miles undefined? I'm glad you asked this because we did not go over undefined fractions. And now
that one I got it right. I mean, it was the next one.
Okay,
because
so
the rule is if 0 is the numerator, then it's an undefined fraction right off the bat. So
0 is the denominator.
Sorry, the denominator.
Right, 0 is the denominator. So anything of a 0 is what we call undefined.
Yeah.
And you could try it in a calculator. It's going to come up, depends on your calculator. It might say undefined. It might just say error. It might say domain error, syntax error, etc. But you cannot divide something into nothing. So that's undefined. So yeah, number 10 would have been A. But number 11 says, how many H more does it take car B to go the 50 miles than car D? All right, so first of all, remember it's going to be 50 over the item. So this is number 11. So you have 50 over, what is the first car?
It's 20. And that's the first problem right here on the graph.
Right.
I counted 1, 2, 3, 4. So I was using 4 at the beginning. I did not realize that at the end of the arrow pointing to the right, it says 100 miles per hour. So I had to figure out how it was broken down in intervals of 5s or 10. So I missed that right off the bat. So I was trying to do 50 over 4.
I see.
Nothing was working out for me. I was like, what is this?
Okay, so did you figure it out?
Well, I went to the, after I was struggling with it, I went to the keys in the back and I realized it was giving me 20. I was like, why is it 20? So I paid a little bit more attention and I realized it's going on increments of 5.
I would be too.
Yes, I ended up being able to do it, but it was that little detail that I missed.
Right, okay. Any, did I hear George? Okay, just remember, if you're not asking me a question, just mute your mic because sometimes we could hear what's happening in the background, and if it's like 10 people, it could get really loud. So should I still go over this? Did you get it? Does anyone else want to see how it works?
And
no, yeah, do it.
Mr. I didn't get anything.
You did not get anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Nothing I get, even my book.
What page is it on the?
All right, so this is page 16 in the workbook. This is number 11 he's asking about. So turn to page 16, number 11. And this is the last one we'll do, and then we're going to continue with the lesson. All right. And
can we do number 12 after, please?
Who's asking that?
Justine.
Okay, and number 12. All right, so for number
Thank
11,
you.
that is correct. First, you need to see what each division means. You'll notice that there are 20 notches if you count them from A right on to the very end to 100. There are 20 notches. So that means you're going to have to take 100 and divide it by 20 to figure out that that's going to be 5. So as was just stated, each notch represents 5 units. So the first car is car B, right?
Yes.
So car B is going to be 50. Remember, 10 lets you know how to write it. In order to write the fraction, it's going to be 50 over each one of the items. So number 11, they're asking you for car B. So that's going to be 50 over what that notch is. So where is car B on? How much would that be if each notch represents 5?
You said 20.
That's at 20. So car B represents 50 over 20 in terms of the speed. 50 miles over 20 hours. And that shows you the speed that they're traveling. All right, so we have 50 and 20, but we're going to rewrite that in terms of a mixed number, because as you see number 11, it's in mixed number format.
That's why I asked you, how do you convert back and forth from
Right.
improper to mixed, and then how can you bring a mixed one back to an improper or simplify it all the way through?
Right, so that's what I just did in the previous one. So we could technically leave it as 50 over 20, or we could reduce. Let's just write out what's the other car? Car D. So car D, what is car D's amount? In terms of each notch represents 5 units.
He said 50.
Right, so it's at 50, yeah, that's 10 units, so 50, so that's going to be 50 over 50. All right, so once we do that, it says how many H more does it take car B to go to the 50 miles than car D? So that means we just need to subtract them, and in order to do that, we need to put them in an easier format. We can either subtract them as fractions, or we can change them into mixed numbers and then subtract them. So if we do it, it's easier to do it by mixed numbers. The choice is yours. We haven't done mixed numbers yet, and that's what we're doing today. We're going to learn how to subtract, add mixed numbers. So I might as well just do it here because that's where we were starting. We're just going to start with how to subtract and add mixed numbers. So for the first one, well, this one here is just 1. Any number divided by itself is 1. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
All right, the second one, if I could cancel out the zeros, that makes it easier. And then I want to see how many times can 2 go into 5?
2.
Pardon? 2 times with how many left over?
1.
1, right? And 1 over what?
2.
Now, if I want to know the difference between car B and car D, what do I do?
Subtract.
Subtract them. So now I'm going to subtract these 2. I'm going to have 2 halves, subtract 1. I could do it like this, or I could keep it in fraction form, whichever one. I'll do both of them. Hopefully, in mixed number form, you can see it. The 2.5 is like $2.50. If I had $2.50, subtract 1, what would I be left with?
1.5.
1.5. And that is my answer. And that's what you'll put into the box. You take the 1. This is an example of a GED test. You literally click the box and drag the items into the appropriate boxes. All right, so that will be 1/2. That's your final answer for number 11. Because we haven't done this yet, I'm going to now do it as a fraction because that's where we left off last week. So if I keep it in fraction form, I have 5 over 2, subtract 1. How do we subtract fractions? What has to be the same?
The denominator?
The denominator. So how can I make 1 to have the same denominator? Well, the number 1 can be written as 1 over 1. Any number can be written as a fraction by putting it over 1. So 5 can be written as a fraction as 5 over 1. 10 can be written as a fraction as 10 over 1. So now I have it as 1 over 1. How do I make the denominators the same?
Just 1.
Divide by 2.
Multiply by 2, right? Just do the 1
yeah.
and multiply that by 2. And so I have 5 over 2, subtract 2 over 2.
2 over 2.
And what would that equal to on the top? Remember, we only subtract and
3
add
over
the
2.
numerators. That becomes 3 over 2. And how do I change 3/2 into a mixed number?
Divide.
Divide, right? 2 goes into 3 how many times?
1 time.
Once. With how many left over?
1.
1 over
2.
1 over 2.
I could get to it by doing fractions as well. So that one was a good bit of work. That's an example of a real GED question. So I'm glad you brought it up, number 10 and 11. But that's why I do want you guys to practice the workbook, and any questions that you have, bring it in the class, as it just helps us to go over more information. All right. Any questions though with number 10 and 11? That's your final answer, 1.5.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, perfect. And then the other question was number 12. Was that,
Yes.
I think,
Yeah.
that was the question, number 12?
Yes.
Okay, so number 12, you're gonna have to read the directions first. This is a 2-part question as well. And it says, examine the information in table. So you wanna make sure you look at that table, then read each question and use the drag and drop options to complete each answer. So the drag and drop work like this, just to make sure anyone's confused or anything. In the GED, because it's a computer test, what you can do is you can actually, it's dynamic. You can take the 1 and put it in a spot. You can take the 2 and drag it. So that's what they're asking you. They're just showing you an example of what it'll look like. So that's basically what's happening with that question. You can't drag, but they're just showing you that's what it will look like on the actual test. All right, so first of all, it says this table shows the number of miles that Luke rode his bicycle over the course of 1 week. So it shows you Sunday, 18 2/3, Monday, 25 9/10, and it goes straight down to Saturday. All right, so number 12 says, how many miles did Luke ride on the weekend? So this question, first of all, tests your ability to know what days are in the weekend. So which days are in the weekend?
Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday,
Sunday.
Sunday. All right, and this actually is another question that bridges into today's lesson, because today we're going to learn how to add and subtract mixed numbers. And so in order to do this, you have 2 options. You can either, method 1, I'm going to call it, add the mixed numbers by changing them into fractions, or number 2, simply add the mixed numbers. And so I'm going to put up here method 1, and we're going to use this to do this example. So actually, let me make sure I put a title: adding and subtracting mixed numbers. And this one also bridges into the lesson. So this is what we're learning today: adding and subtracting. Should have wrote that further over. That's a C. Subtracting mixed numbers. Can I fit that in there? Mixed numbers. So adding and subtracting mixed numbers, and we're doing number 12 from page 16 in the workbook. I know at least one of you didn't have that, so I'm sorry. Just try to work out the actual problems that I put up. So you may not see the background for it, but at least you'll know how to do the actual working. All right, so for this one, number 12, what days of the weekend? Sunday and
Saturday.
Saturday and Sunday. And if I'm trying to find out the total amount on 2 days, what will I do with their values? What math up? Add, right? I'm going to add those values. So Saturday was 24 5/6. And we're adding that to Sunday, which is 18 2/3. All right, so method 1 is going to be, and you could choose which method. It's good to know both methods, but method 1 is we're going to change the mixed numbers into fractions. Fractions, then add or subtract. All right, and I'm just writing shorthand, so add or subtract. Okay, so number 2, I'll just put subtract. We're not going to do method 2 yet, sorry. Method 1, to change this into a mixed number, hold on, still one more step. Then change the answer back into a mixed number. All right, so you're going to change the mixed numbers that we have there, 24 and 5/6 plus 18 and 2/3. You want to change that into a mixed number. And then once you change it into a mixed number, sorry, improper fraction, you're going to change the mixed number to an improper fraction. And then you're going to add and subtract it. Then once you get your answer, you're going to change it back into a mixed number. That's method 1. All right, so method 1, let's go ahead and do that. We have 24 and 5/6 plus 18 and 2/3. Okay, so how do we change the first one into a fraction?
Multiply.
All right, we're going to multiply those two. So 6 times 24, and if this is a non-calculator part of the test, you're going to have to work that out by hand. Excuse me, so 6 times 4 is how much?
24.
24, you're going to carry the 2. 6 times 2 is 12 plus that additional 2.
14.
14. So you're going to add 144. So the 6 times the 24 gives me 144. And then the result, what do I do?
Add.
So I'm going to add 5 to that. So that's going to be 149. Plus, we do the same thing here with 18 and 2/3. We're going to multiply these two. And if you don't know it off your head, don't be afraid to write it out. Remember, we're practicing without a calculator. But in about 2 weeks' time or a week time, you want your calculator. I'm going to show you how to use it and do all this without having to work it out. All right, 3 times 8 is how much?
24.
24. Well, carry the 2.
24.
So 24.
Right. And then 3 times 1 is?
3.
Plus that 2?
54.
5. So we've got 54 there. So 3 times 18, 54, and then we add that 2. So how much will that be?
56.
Right, so we're going to have 56 over. It's a little bit
3.
hard. Everybody can make that out, right? That's supposed to be a 56. Trying to fit everything in here. 56. All right, and that's the addition up here. So just in case you can't see it, it's multiply and then add. And you're multiplying and adding the result. Right? Multiply.
That's 18. Then add.
And then add.
Okay.
Okay, so we have 149 plus 56 over 3. 149 over 6 plus 56 over 3. But to add fractions, what must I do?
Get a common denominator.
I need a common denominator. And what's the easiest way to get a common denominator there?
Divide them between each other?
Yeah, but what do you notice about 6 and 3? Anything in common? All right, let me do the long way. So the long way is that I write out the common multiples, right? So we have the multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, etc. The multiples of 6 are 6, 12, 18, etc. Right? So you notice that they have 12 in common and 6 in common. But I'm looking for the lowest common multiple or the lowest common denominator. Remember that?
Yeah, it's 3.
6.
6, right? 6 is the lowest common multiple between the two, right here. We already have 6, so there's no need to change it. We could change it to 12, but that's just going to give us more work. So we're going to stay with the lowest common multiple. So since 6 is already the same, what must I do to 56 over 3?
Multiply it by 2.
Multiply on 2 on the denominator. And what I do to the denominator, all right, see an answer popping up already. What I do to the denominator, I do to the numerator as well. All right, and so I times that by 2. Okay, so I'm going to have 149 over 6 plus, what's 2 times 56?
112.
112 over 6. All right, so I'm going to add these two together. 149 plus 112. How much is that going to give us?
Mm. 261.
261 over 6. So now I have an improper fraction, and I want to change that improper fraction to a mixed number. So how do I do that? I'm going to need to what?
Divide.
Divide. So can I erase this or no, I'll do it right here. All right, so over on the side, if you know how to divide that fast, you know, you could go ahead and do it. Just think 24 and 6, that could help you. But if not, you want to write out your long division. Remember, with long division, you flip the order, so 6 into 261. All right, so how many times does 6 go into 26?
4.
4 times. And remember, you write the 4 over the last digit that you're dividing into. All right, I see Marisol and Dorcas have answers. So you want to see what your remainder is. So you say 6 times 4 is 24. You're going to subtract those to get a remainder of 2. And what do you do next?
You add to 11.
Say that again?
You add to 1, so that should be 21.
Okay, yeah, so we bring down the 1. And we want to see now how many times does 6 go into 21?
3.
3 times. And 6 times 3 is?
18.
18. So we see we're done, but we still have a remainder. And at this level, we are not putting remainder 3. But we learned this last week before last, or whenever we learned it. How do we keep on dividing? Did we learn this?
You add a 0?
We do add a 0. I haven't taught you this yet. So this normally we go over this in the next one under decimals, I believe. I don't recall teaching this to you yet. And decimals is not until less than 6. It's kind of weird that they had that already. Anyway, to do this, you do add a 0, but you need to put something else with the 0.
Decimal point.
Decimal point. So you put a decimal point there and a 0. And if you put a decimal point and a 0 in your dividend, what do you do to your quotient?
You also put a decimal point.
Right, but not a 0, just a decimal point. And then you can bring down the 0 and you keep on dividing. So how many times can 6 go into 30?
5.
5. And 6 times 5 is?
30.
30. Right, and so that's 0. So we can see here that our answer is going to be 43. And, oh yeah, I got caught up. I didn't have to show you guys that decimal part. My bad. But anyway, you know how to do it now. Sorry, I got caught up with the divisor stuff. But now you know how to do it as a decimal. We're working with fractions. I got caught up. So we do want to keep it as a remainder. And remember, the way that we do that, I taught you this, is that it's 43 plus the remainder, which is 3 over the divisor. And remember, we learned that mixed numbers are really a number plus a fraction, but we don't need the plus sign. So it's 43 and 3 over 6. And then you can reduce the fraction part. What you see about that fraction is that they are in common. They have 3 in common, so you can divide by 3 on the top, divide by 3 on the bottom, and you get 43, 1 over 2, which is the same as 43.5, but they didn't ask it for in decimal form. I got caught up with that. But so what you do there, if you want it in mixed number form, you take the remainder and you put it over the divisor. The remainder was 3, the divisor was 6, so you have your quotient 43 plus 3 over 6, and then you reduce the fraction down to a half. And that will be your answer, 43 and a half. Now that's a lot of work without a calculator.
Yeah.
Sure is.
So it's a good, but some of this you don't have to do if you've gotten good at finding the LCM and the LCD and you're good with your multiplication. It just took a lot of work because I'm showing you every little step. So this is why you want to master the multiplication chart.
If you
save you a lot of trouble if you're doing it by hand. And the more you practice, the faster you can get through this.
Okay.
All right, so that was method 1. Now let's go ahead and do method 2.
I did method 2.
All right, if you did method 2, you might have saw that it actually didn't take as long. And if somebody can remind me of the problem, the question, the fractions, mixed numbers. It was 20 something.
24,
4, 5, 6.
24 and 5, 6.
Plus 18 and
18, 2, 3.
18 and 2/3, like that?
Yeah.
All right, so method 2. Method 2 is just to add the mixed numbers. And so to do this, you're going to add the whole numbers together. Remember, the whole numbers are 24 and 18. And then add the fractions together. And then simplify where necessary. I'll just put where needed. Simplify where needed. Sometimes it can be super duper quick. Other times you might need a few more steps. So let's go ahead and do this. We're going to add the numbers together first. And how I'm going to do it, I'm going to write down each step underneath the previous one. So we're going to add the numbers together. What's 24 plus 18?
42.
42.
All right, so I'm just going to put that here, 24 plus 18. And then we're going to add together the 5, 6, and then plus the 2/3. If you could do that in your head, that's fine. 24 plus 18 is 42. And then to add those fractions, what has to be the same?
The bottom?
Denominator.
Denominator. So which denominator can be changed real quickly to do that?
3.
6.
3. So we're going to times that 3 by 2. And what we do to the bottom, do to the top. All right, and what would that fraction be?
6 and 4.
We're going to have 5, 6 plus 4 over 6. All right, so this one's going to take a little bit more work than a regular one. So we're going to have 42 plus, what's 5, 6 plus 4, 6?
9 over 6.
9 over 6. So we have 5 over 6 plus 9 over 6. All right, so simplify where needed could mean to keep on doing that. So we need to change 9 over 6, which is an improper fraction, into a mixed number. So if I do that, how many times does 6 go into 9?
1.
1.
1 with how many left over?
3.
3 over 6. And you see we have a mixed number and a fraction. And what we're going to do, we're going to add the numbers. So what's 42 plus 1?
3.
3.
3. And then that 3 over 6 can reduce down to a half. Now, that's it showing every single step. Some of you who've done it this way, you might have skipped some steps, and that's totally fine. But there's the answer again. You notice you didn't have to do any division. You didn't have to do as much work there. But that would be the answer, 43 and a half. And because this is still part of a question here, what was that, page 16? You would then just drag the 43 and the 1 and the 2 over, and then you'd be done. So which method did you like the best?
2.
I like
The second one.
The second one, yeah, most people do choose the second one, and that's the long way for the second one. Sometimes, once you get to this step, you're done. But sometimes it turns into a mixed number, and you just repeat the step. Maybe I should put that, repeat where needed. Simplify, I'll put repeat. So, sorry if this messes you up a bit, but I'm just going to change it. Instead of simplify, I'm just going to put repeat. So that means you'll repeat doing the same thing, add the numbers and add the fractions. All right, so we're going to do some practice on that one, and we're going to use the worksheet that I sent. We're not going to do all of them. We, of course, leave some for you. But like I said last week, you possibly want to be able to do all the problems in the workbook because we hadn't got to this part yet. So this was the last thing we needed to know in order to add and subtract fractions. All right, so has everybody got this copied?
Yes.
All right, make sure you keep it to the side because we're going to do some practice from the worksheet that I sent in Remind. And I'm just going to stop sharing that for a moment. And I'm going to reshare. Hold on, let me bring it up first. And that's not it. Hold on. this one. All right, so hold on real fast. I've obviously misplaced this one, and I know why, because I did it as a link last time. Okay, so let me just do that. All right, here we go. So let me share this now before I think I done it, and I really didn't. All right, so there we go. Okay, so the link to the worksheet is there now. You should see it. And I'm going to share now the same thing that I just sent. Better to do it while you have it there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do some adding and subtracting of mixed numbers. Now you could choose whichever method you like. I prefer method 2. And at some certain times I might do method 1. It just depends on the fraction, on the mixed number. So if it looks difficult, I normally just do method 2. If it looks like it could be quick, I might do method 1. Just depends on my mood. Sometimes with subtraction, I might do method 1, depending on how it gets. So I'll do both. I'll just do a mixture of them. So let's start off with number 1. You can do it with me, and then we're going to get to the point where you do it by yourself and see if you can get the answer. So for this one, I'm doing method 2 for number 1. So let's go ahead and add them. I might do both of them. All right, so we have 2/5 plus 1 3/4. Remember, with method 2, you're going to add the numbers together and then add the fractions together. So we've got 2 plus 1.
3.
Add those, and we're going to put it in parentheses just so we can see it. You don't really have to. Just makes it easier so that you're not confused with what you're doing. And then 1/5 plus 3/4. All right, so in order to add the fractions, what must be the same?
Denominator.
Denominator. Right? And if you can do it in your head and just skip the step, feel free. But I'm writing every step to make sure everybody knows what's happening here. So first of all, you might be able to see what the LCD is. You can simply just multiply them by each other. Could cause more work though in the long run. But let's just do it first. What are the multiples of 4? Well, we got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, etc. I can't fit the rest, but I know that the number is already in here. So we have 5, 10, 15, 20. All right, so this is the lowest common denominator between the two. In order to find your 4, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means 4 times 5 will give me 20. And for this one, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 times 4 gives 20. So that means here in the fraction part, I'll just multiply that by 5. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. In the other fraction, same thing. I'm going to multiply this side by 4. And what I do to the bottom, do to the top. All right, so now we can go ahead and start simplifying. 2 plus 1 is simply 3. And then over here in the fraction, I'm going to have 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 3 times 5 is 15. And this one's going to work out nice. 4 times 5 is 20. All right, so we have 3. And to add that fraction, 4 plus 15 is going to be 19. And that's a proper fraction. And so my mixed number is simply 3, 19 over 20. Right, and with, after a while, you just see you can really do that really fast. But I'm just showing you all the steps one by one. But the more you practice, I mean, literally, you could get that down in no time.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
And you would leave it as 3 with 19 over 20. You wouldn't keep simplifying it?
They can. 19 is a prime number, so nothing else you can do with that.
Okay.
But if you can simplify, then yes.
Oh, well, no. Okay.
If you can simplify, then you have to go ahead and do that.
Gotcha.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions regarding what we just did there?
So you can't simplify that?
Not 19 over 20.
Yeah,
You can only simplify when the top number is bigger than the bottom number,
Oh.
right?
No,
not necessarily, but
you simplify when you have common factors.
It's a prime number.
Oh, okay.
So that's a prime number. The GED doesn't really go over prime, but I did mention it last week. If I had 318 over 20, well, these are both even numbers, so they're both divisible by 2. And so I can divide that to 9 over 10. But I can't divide that anymore because there's no common factors between 9 and 10.
Yeah.
There's no common factors between 19 and 20.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if you have a prime number involved, then that's as far as you can go. So let's say I had 3 over 7 over 20. There's nothing else I can do. 7 is prime. There's no other common factors with 20. But if I get a multiple of 7, such as 21, well, 7 goes into 21. And so I can divide both by 7, and I'll get, I'm just writing the fraction part, 1 over 7. Okay, so remember, once you get to no common factors, then it's in its simplest form.
What is a prime number again?
A prime number is a number that can only be divided by 1 and itself. So 1, well, 1's considered composite, but 2 is the first prime, then 3, then 5, then 7, and so forth. Goes up 11, 13. Goes on forever, technically, but those are like our first few prime numbers. Right? These numbers, there are no factors that can go into them but 1 and itself. Okay? I'm not sure if anyone was copying that. But 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. It goes on forever. 17, 19. Keeps on going. All right. Any other questions dealing with what we just done here, that mixed number? I'm going to do method 1 just in case somebody does not like method 2. I'm about to clear it. No.
A little bit, because in my working book, I didn't see anything, but I'm just getting it on what you're working here.
Sorry, say that again. I wasn't trusting. That wasn't just.
In my workbook, I didn't see anything, but I'm just getting a little bit in what you're working on the board right here.
Okay. Well, that was method 2. Hopefully, I do not confuse you with method 1. Just make a choice and decide on the one. If you want to try both, that's good. But I'm going to do method 1 now with the same question. Originally, I wasn't going to, but just in case, I'm going to do method 1 now. Normally, I'll do method 1 first, then method 2, but no need to rush. So method 1, same question, just doing method 1. Now, method 1, we're going to change them into improper fractions. Right? Same question, number 1. We're doing method 1. Who remembers how to do method 1?
Multiply.
All right, we're going to multiply the 5 and the 2, and then add the result there. So multiply, then add. It's hard to fit it here. The screen's a bit small. So 5 times 2 is 10, and 10 plus 1 is?
11.
Right, so we're going to have 11 over 5 plus 4 times 1 plus 3.
7 over 4.
7 over 4. Okay, and so now we can try to get the denominators the same. We already done that in the previous one, so I'm not going to write out the multiples of 5 and 4 again. I'm just going to say times 5, and times 4 here, and times 4. So once we do that, remember to multiply. We just say 4 times 11 is 44. 4 times 5 is 20. Plus 5 times 7 is 35. And 5 times 4 is 20. All right, and so we can add the 44 and the 35 together. What will we get?
79.
We get 79 over 20. Then we want to see how many times can 20 go into 49?
3.
Right, 3 times with how many left over?
19.
19 over 20. So you see for this one, doing method 1 was actually pretty fast.
Yep.
And so sometimes you see method 1 is faster, sometimes you see method 2 is faster. It really just depends on the question. It's like the freeway and the back road. Sometimes you could take a back road and beat someone on the freeway because there's so much traffic. And then some days you take the freeway normally if it's a regular day and you will get there faster than the roads. So knowing both is a good thing, especially if you see, man, this is going to take forever. And then you could decide, I'm going to do the other method. So like the one we did from the workbook, you could see doing method 1, it was taking some time, but method 2 was actually quicker. All right, so this, we're going to do a subtraction one, and let's do this one. This one here, I'll just let you know, method 2 is going to be so much faster. But let's go ahead. I'm going to start off with method 1 here. What would I do? What's the first step for method 1?
Method would multiply.
Right, we're going to multiply to 2 times 3 and then add. So 2 times 3 is?
7 over 2. 6. Or I mean 6, but add the 1.
7 over 2, 6 plus 1. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. Here, 2 times 1 is 2.
Plus 1 is 3. 3 over 2.
Right, so then remember, just subtract the numerators. 7 minus 3 is?
4.
4. First, you get 4 over 2, and hopefully you know what 4 divided by 2 is equal to?
2.
2. And that's the answer using method 1. All right. Now method 2, although that was fast, method 2 is actually going to be even faster.
5. 2 times 5.
All right, can I clear the screen yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's try number 2.
All right, we're going to clear this, clearing. All right, so method 2 with number 9 first. Method 2, remember, subtract the numbers and then subtract the fractions. Because this one's so straightforward, so what's 3 subtract 1?
2.
And what's a half subtract a half?
0.
0. And that's your answer, 2. Now, if you wanted to see some working, then this is showing the working. 3 minus 1, and then you're technically adding a half minus a half. Because when you say and, you're adding. So subtract the numbers and, which is addition, subtract the fractions. That's the, if I wanted to write it out. But doing the other method, you should be able to just see it. 3 minus 1 is 2, and a half minus a half is 0, and 2 plus 0 is 2. Right, so, you know, writing it down, method 2 can seem longer, but if you know method 2, you just 3 minus 1 is 2, and half minus half is 0. And so 2. All right, so those are your 2 methods. What time is it? 7:13. We still need to do multiplication and division. That's normally pretty fast. Any questions? Do you want to do any more of these?
Can we do the number 2 exercise here?
Oh yeah, George had asked the same thing. So number 2, sorry George, I must forgot to do that.
Yeah.
So number 2, let's start off with method 1. And you could decide which one you like the best. But as you see, sometimes it's faster to do one or the other. All right, so we're going to start off number 2 with method 1. All right, remember multiply, so 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7, so you're going to get 7 over 2.
7 over 2.
And then the second one, and if you get the answer, go ahead and send it in the chat. I see some people sending answers in the chat.
Minus.
Dorcas has put answers in the chat. All right, so 7 over 2, and then the second one, yeah, 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus 2 is 8. That's
8 over 3.
Over 3. I don't know why I wrote that so small. 7 over 2 minus 8 over 3. 7 over 2, subtract 8 over 3. All right, so now we need to get like denominators. So we can either do it in our heads. The more you practice your times tables, the easier it is. If you're not practicing your times tables, you want to write it out. Multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, etc. Goes on forever. 3, 6, 9, 12. But hopefully you see already the lowest common denominator is 6. All right, so then in order to get to 6, you're going to have to multiply the 2 by 1, 2, 3. And in order to find the 3, you're going to have to multiply it 1, 2. Right? So we multiply the 3 by 2 and the 8 by 2 and the 2 by 1 and by 1. Right? No need. Sorry, why did I put 1 there? By 3. All right, so once you simplify that, you're going to have 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 2 is 6, minus 8 times 2 is 16, and 3 times 2 is 6. And that equals just means the identity, just means what is the equivalent answer. All right, Justine and Dorcas, let's see, 5 over 6. All right, what's 21 subtract 16?
5.
5, and so you get 5.
Plus 6.
Nice.
All right, so that one, method 1, was pretty clean. Sometimes you see method 1 might take an arm and a leg to finish, and sometimes it will not. Sometimes method 2 can be done in your head. Sometimes it can't. All right, but knowing both methods is good. If you don't want to learn both methods, there's no penalty on you. It's totally fine if you choose a method and stick with that. All right, to do the same one using method 2, those who may prefer that, I'm about to clear unless someone needs me to leave this here. And 3.
Mr. Ray.
Yes. Yes, sir. I'm not sure who called me. Did somebody call me, or did I hear things?
Yes, Sergio.
Okay, Sergio.
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. On the GED test, they may ask for method 1 or method 2?
No, they don't. That's why I said it's not you. It's whatever you want. But as you can see, sometimes method 2 might help out when you see them in those box forms. But you can always change it into an improper fraction, do the necessary addition or subtraction, and then change it back to a mixed number. It doesn't matter which one. Whichever one works for you, just make sure you master it if you're choosing one or the other.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
That's good.
they're not going to say method
Okay.
1, and my method 1 might be someone's method 2. So you might get to another teacher, and they teach you method 1 as method 2, and vice versa.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Book, actually, I just happened to glance over. In the book, they actually show you method 2 in the book. So if you have the student book on page 8, student book, you see.
I don't have that one.
You should have the student book, Ngozi.
I don't have it.
Page 8 in the student book.
And then fractions, right?
Yeah, it's a little box on page 8, right in the middle.
Okay. All right.
All right, so let's go ahead and try this one more time, number 2, and we're going to use method 2 there. Now.
Addition.
All right, and so they didn't use parentheses. I'm just looking at theirs. They just did it. Oh, sometimes I don't use parentheses either. Let's do it how you see it in the book. They did it without parentheses. Well, that might throw you off now, all right? I'll show you how they do it in the book without the parentheses. So they have 3/2 minus 2/3. And actually, I could work it out straight from there. So using how they have it in the book might convince some of you to like it this way too. So we already did the common multiple between 2 and 3. We want to get it to 6, so we times this one by 3. And what we do to the bottom, do to the top. Same thing here, times it by 2, times it by 2. And when you do that, you're going to get 3 and 3 over 6 minus 2 and 4 over 6. And then from here, just say 3 subtract 2 is 1. And here you're going to get 3 minus 4 is going to give you, yeah, this one's going to probably throw you off just a tad.
Well, plus 1/6.
Yeah, it's going to give you negative 1/6. And so that's going to be negative 1/6. Did that throw anybody off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not, it's, yeah, this one might throw you off a bit with subtraction if you don't like it, but that's going to give you negative 1/6, right? 3 minus 2 is 1. And then for the fractions, when you subtract that, 3 subtract 4 gives you negative 1. Remember, we did integers last week. I'm just going to keep on going. To rewrite the 1 as a fraction, remember 1 over 1, and therefore 6 over 6 is the same as 1. Because you have a plus and minus there, we could just say minus 1/6, and that becomes 5/6.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
You just threw us for a spin there.
Yeah, if you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's just another way of doing it.
That's yeah.
Yeah, some people will like, oh man, I love this, and then others are gonna be like, I hate that. Like, don't even show it again.
Yeah, that's a little bit.
Right, but that's how you do it with mixed numbers. I know
Okay.
that.
It's super awkward silence. It's awesome.
Why would it be 1 plus negative 1/6? Why the plus?
Oh, because you're doing, well,
Minus.
basically what you're doing is you're adding a negative number. So this goes back to integers. I don't know if you guys remember, we were working with the integers.
Right.
Right, so when you have, let me change it to yellow. If you have 3 minus 2, that is the exact same as saying 3 and negative 2. Now remember, the rule for mixed numbers, any mixed number, when you have a mixed number, what that really means is 1 plus 2/3. We just don't write the 1. We say it, we say 1 and 2/3, right? The word and indicates addition. If I say it's me and another person, then how many people is it altogether?
2.
2, right? The and, we know that means to add. And so instead of writing the addition sign, we just take it out and we just say 1 and 2/3. But we have to know it means addition. So if I get a negative answer there, then it's 1 and negative 2/3. And because we learned already here that adding a negative is the same as just subtracting, then I can just rewrite it. An example of these two is if I had $3 and I give away $2, then I say 3 subtract 2. The second one is like saying I have $3 and I owe someone $2. So there's 2 ways I can write it. I can show that I'm taking away $2, or I owe someone $2 in the future, and so I can write it as 3 plus negative 2. Okay, hopefully that didn't throw you off anymore. Did that make sense, the explanation of the negatives? Because that will come up again in algebra and in geometry.
So let's say all the way at the bottom, right, on say 1 plus negative, is it negative 2/3?
Well, this was an example. Like, what would I do like with negative 2/3?
Right.
Is
Okay.
that I'm still writing the addition sign because that's what mixed numbers mean. Mixed numbers literally means 1 and a fraction, and that fraction could be a negative number.
So let's say you want to let's say divide 2/3. It's the one you make it obviously a 3, so it's thirds. So it'll be 3/3 minus negative 2/3, right?
Well, that's not that's supposed to be a minus sign.
Right,
yeah.
minus 2/3, right? So 3/3 minus, and that's how would you divide? I mean,
subtraction.
Right, that's what you subtract that.
Right, that's if you do method 2.
Okay, and that would be your answer, 1/3.
That would be your answer if it was negative there, yeah.
Okay, got it.
All right.
It's
now,
kind of easy.
Yeah, it is kind of easy. If you look at it just like regular numbers and regular integers, it's not that difficult, and practice makes progress. And understanding it can open up a lot of other avenues the further we go, especially in algebra. because algebra is literally just built off of the understanding of what we're doing here. And we just use our understanding here to do our algebraic expressions and problems. All right, do we want to do some more? Choice is yours for fractions. I take my time because you have to master fractions. But does everyone feel pretty comfortable?
Let's do some more.
All right, what number? You can look through there and see. You can download it from the Remind if you're on Remind.
Okay.
Let's do number 6, please.
Okay, number 6. Let me change that color there. Number 6. And I can do both methods again for those who would like to know. So method 1. All right, so method 1, remember, we're going to change them into improper fractions. So we're going to multiply these.
I'm sorry, Ray. So can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So all you really do in method 1 is multiply and do improper fractions. In method 1, you just go at it and do the whole numbers first and then the fractions, huh? Is that it?
Method 2, we do the whole numbers and then the fraction. Method, well, it doesn't, as long as you know the method, don't matter which one's 1 or 2. Okay,
so either or.
So yeah, one of the methods is you just do the numbers together, the whole numbers, and then the fractions together.
When you have like bigger whole numbers, like let's say 27 and 50 something, it's kind of easier to do the whole numbers first and then the fractions, isn't it? Or am I wrong?
With the big numbers like we did in the workbook, it's easier to do method 2. And a lot of times you will get big numbers like that.
Okay.
Because you think about it, like you just asked, let's say I had 24 and 11 13ths. Already you see 13 times 4 plus 11. And then if I'm subtracting like 18 and 9 12ths or something like that, 13ths, that's going to be a lot of work doing method 1. And the reality is, at a GED level, you might get mixed numbers like that, just as we saw in the workbook. So it is good to know to do method 2 for a question like that. When you get small ones, which is very possible as well in the GED, it might be easier to use method 1. And that's why knowing both of them can come in handy, because when you're dealing with something simple, well, if I prefer method 1, I'll just do that. But when you get those big numbers like you asked, great question, I'm glad you asked it. That's where method 2 generally is the easier way to go about it. All right, and let's go ahead. I see some answers already. 5, 6 is the same answer as before. I haven't worked it out yet, but I see 17 over 18 and 5 9ths, sorry. All right, let's go ahead and see what that is. So we're going to multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 1 is going to give us 7. And my pen is not on, so 7 over 2. Subtract 9 times 2 is 18. We're going to add the 18 and the 5 together, and that's going to give us 23 over 9. And I'm seeing different answers. I'm just checking at the same time. So I see 17 over 18.
How did you get the 23 though? You added the 9th and the 9 times 2, or?
Oh, 9 times 2 is 18. And then 18 plus 5.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And 18 plus 5, yeah, 23. So now we need to subtract. If you know your multiples, you can quickly see what your LCM is. If you don't, that's fine. You just write them out. And that's going to take up time. So you want to practice your multiples, your times tables. I think I sent you a times tables chart. Did I send a times tables chart?
You did.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So you want to practice the times tables chart, have them just there so you quickly remember what they are. That'll save you having to do this. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'm not going to fit them all in here. Basically, it's going to be 18. It's just, I really want to optimize the time that we have. So 12, blah, blah, blah. 18 is going to be there. So 18 is going to be our LCM. All right, so that means we want to multiply. And it just so happens that you could multiply 2 times 9. Sometimes you could just do that. So we're going to go 9 times 2. And if you know the cross multiplication method, for anyone who's new, I don't teach it because when we get to ratios and proportions, it causes a lot of confusion because we use the cross multiplication method there and it's different rules there and then people get confused. So I just use it once. All right, so then we times this one by 9. And we can quickly simplify that. 9 times 7 is how much?
63.
All right, 63. And 9 times 2 is
18.
18, what we just found out. 2 times 23 is going to give us
46.
46.
All right, and so now we can just subtract that. 63 minus 46 is going to give us how much?
17.
17. 17 over
18.
18. And that will be our answer using method 1. All right, so those who sent 17 over 18, that is correct. And side note, just remember you want to get the TI-30XS multi-view. We're going to learn how to do that on a calculator super fast. Save you a lot of time. But first, you need to know how to do it because you do have a non-calculator portion of the test. All right, so 17 over 18. Can I go ahead and do method 2 now?
Yes.
All right, I'm about to clear it, just in case anybody was copying. 3, 2, 1. All right, so method 2. Because we've already hopefully remembered that the LCM there is 18, just times that by 2, and times this one by 9. When we rewrite that, we're going to have 3 9/18 minus 2 times 10 18. All right, so this one is very similar to the one we did before. 3 minus 2 is how much?
1.
1. This one's going to be a little bit more work, so you may not like method 2 here. Method 2 for subtraction can be sometimes nice, sometimes not. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and 9 subtract 10 is how much?
Minus 1.
Minus 1. So I'm going to have plus minus 1 over 18. Now, remember, the reason why it's plus is because it's a mixed number. You could just put the subtraction sign. If you realize that it's a minus and that plus minus 1's throwing you off, and you say 9 minus 10 is negative, you could just put the minus there. Right? It's still the same thing, but I just want you to know it's addition technically. So it's...
Mr. Ray,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to jump the gun.
No problem.
So in this case, you say the number, so instead for us to divide, we know it's a number 1, so that's pretty easy. So we do 18 over 18, and then we do the subtraction.
There you go. 18 over 18 minus 1 over 18 gives us
17.
18 minus 1. 17 over 18. So you still get the same answer. I mean, method 2 is only difficult because it mixes integers in there. And, you know, if you're not comfortable with the negatives, and that's why we spent a good bit of time on the integers last time, so that you don't get thrown off when you see a negative in there. But once again, I made the fractions the same. We subtracted the whole numbers. 3 subtract 2 is 1. Then when we subtract the fractions, 9 subtract 10 is a negative. So we put that negative in there. We can change the 1 back into 18 over 18, right? That's the same as 1. And then subtract the numerators. 18 subtract 1 is 17 over 18. So you still get the same answer. But the more you practice, the easier it gets. Like, it gets to the point where you really don't have to do a lot of the stuff that I'm writing there. Like for me, for the most part, I could just do that really quickly without the side note because I've been doing it for so long, not because I'm a genius. It's just I've practiced it so many times and I teach it multiple times. After a while, it's like you're just doing it, not even thinking. And all of you could be in the same boat, like literally. It's just practice makes progress. And remember all the rules that I've been telling you about how to study. The best ways to study is to practice and to show somebody else how to do it. So now that you learn how to do this, go show somebody. And the very act of trying to teach it to someone is going to reinforce it in your mind. You're more than likely going to get those aha moments like, oh, I understand it, right? That always happens to people who are teaching, always. All right, so that was another one there. I do not rush fractions and mixed numbers, so any other questions, any other ones that you want to try? If not, we'll go on to multiplying and dividing.
Can I say something? I
Sure.
think for that one, the way I do it, I just say it. I don't know if people can see like the old number, the one number, just make the denominator the same as the old number. which is just 18, and then just take away the 1.
Yeah.
Like this one, 18 over 18 minus 1 over 18. I didn't even think of it that way. I just see it and then just do it.
Right. So, and that's what I mean. The more that you do something, the easier it will get. You just start to see it after a while. But we do have to write in there so you know what's happening. Because 18 over 18 is a whole, then how do we show that to somebody who doesn't understand it? We have to actually show them what's happening. And so, but like I said, the more you do it, you're going to start to see shortcuts. It's just human nature. And if you say, well, not me, it's only because you haven't tried it yet, right? That's human nature. You can't help it. If you can't, I'm going to sound, I don't mean to sound like I'm being cruel or anything, but it means that you have a disability, and you don't, because you're here. And then by disability, I mean a mental disability. And I'm quite sure none of you have that. And so the thing is practice makes progress. You just have to put the time and effort in. If you're only practicing when you meet in class, you're not going to get it straight. It's not going to happen twice a week. Even though it's 2 hours, it's still not enough time. You have to practice outside of class. You think about it, we have so much bombardment happening in our minds. Once you finish this, you might turn on the TV, you might turn on a movie. If it's a 1 hour, 2 hour movie, you just put in 2 hours worth of information into your head. Then if you have a conversation with somebody, however long that conversation is, that's more information into your head. Think of it as a computer. It's like saving files on your phone, saving pictures, movies, videos. What happens to your phone after a while if you keep saving videos and pictures and audio and music?
Doesn't save no more.
Yeah, after a while, it's like, I can't take no more. Then your phone starts to go slow. You can't open apps up. Our brains are not that much different. All that information in there, after a while, the information that is not important is like all over the place, and it's hard to bring it back. So in order for you to make sure that this stuff comes back very quickly, you have to tell your brain, this is important information. This is the app of apps, right? So practice, teach somebody else. All right, I saw one more in there we're going to do. Number 5, somebody asked us to do. And where's number 5? Nope. Number 5, is that what I saw in the chat? Yeah, number 5. So number 5 will be the last one. You're going to do this. Hopefully, you will do this before Thursday. Every other one we did not do, you want to try to complete. And any questions you have, we'll touch on that on Thursday. All right, number 5, method 1. I'm going to do this one a little bit faster. Did we do number 5 already?
No.
We did, or we did it?
We did.
Yeah, that looks familiar. Did we do this?
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
4 number 1 over 10.
We did 4, number 1 and 10. Okay, well, somebody has it written down. It just looks similar, I guess. All right, so let's go ahead with number 1. We got 2 times 1, and then we add there. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3, so that's 3 over 2. This is method 1. To change this mixed number into an improper fraction, we say 5 times 2, which is 10, plus 3, 13 over 5. Hopefully you know your times tables well, at least the 5 ones. 2 and 5 both can multiply into 10.
Okay.
You multiply 5 by 2, and what you do to the bottom, do to the top. Multiply the 2 by the 5, and what you do to the bottom, do to the top. All right, so when you rewrite this, 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 2 is 10. 13 times 2 is 26. 5 times 2 is 10. All right, you add those together. What's 15 plus 26?
41.
Say that again?
41.
41 over 10.
10.
And that is an improper fraction, so it needs to turn into a mixed number. So 10 goes into 4 and 1/10, right? 10 goes into 41 4 times with 1 left over, right? Because 4 times 10 is 40. All right, so that's how you do that one using method 1. Method 2, I'm going to do that over here. So this is method 2. Method 2, we have 1 1/2 and 2 3/5. All right, so to do this one, similarly, I should have had more room there, but we're going to multiply this fraction by 5 so that we can add the fractions and multiply this one by 2. And that's going to give us a new mixed number of 1 and 5/10 plus 2 and 8/10. And then we add the numbers. 1 plus 2 is 3. And then the fractions, 5 plus 8, 13/10. Because that's an improper fraction, we need to change that one. And so that's 3 plus 13/10, just to remind you, right? If you don't need to do that step, that's totally fine. I'm doing every single step to help. And then we turn the 13/10 into a mixed number. So how many times does 10 go into 13?
1.
1, so we have how many left over?
3.
3.
3. Did I do that right?
No, it's not. It's incorrect because.
How'd you get the 8?
Yeah, how did I get 8? That should have been 6.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, that's what happens when you rush. So that should have been 11. Forgive me about that. I have to go back and look. If you see me make a mistake early, let me know early. Save us some time. Don't be afraid to say, Mr. Ray, that is wrong. That is wrong. Please stop. All right, so there we go. So we have 3 plus 11/10. How many times does 10 go into 11?
1.
1 and 1/10. And then you just add the numbers, 4 and 1/10. But like I said, both of what I'm doing is the longer ways. The more you practice, you see both in method 1 and method 2 that after a while, you're going to just start to see it. Just like Dorcas said, that she just can see it, that I should subtract that and get the answer, right? The same thing will happen the more you do it. After a while, it just becomes easier, like anything that you do in life, whether it's driving. The first time you drove, if it was a stick shift too, you're probably scared stiff. And then after a while, it just became second nature. You change the gears, not even thinking about it, right? That's how we are as humans. So practice makes progress. The more you do it, the better you get. The more you explain it, the more you understand it. And so if you can understand it and do it fast, it makes life really easy. All right, so with the last few minutes, what I want to touch on is the multiplication of fractions. And then, of course, mixed numbers. So I'm just going to clear that, stop sharing that, and then I'm actually going to bring up the book. So bear with me while I just do that. And for those of you who are new, you can at least see what type of calculator you want to get. So that once we get there, it's a smooth transition and you'll learn how to do all this on a calculator. All right, so this is the calculator you want. It's found in the front of any book that you have, whether it's science, language arts, social studies, or math. And it's the Roman numerals for 12, XII. It's in the very beginning of the book. This is the calculator you want to get, TI-30XS Multiview, and you will learn how to do all this stuff even faster in a few weeks. All right, so back to the fractions. This is page 8, I believe. And let me just rotate that. All right, so the multiply is so easy that I don't think we have to spend so much time on it. To multiply fractions, you simply multiply straight across, and that's it, right? The temptation that you have with addition, that's actually what you do with multiplication. So 3 times 5 is 15, and 4 times 8 is 32, and done. But if you get something that needs to be simplified, then you will simplify your answer. But that's it.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna probably get into it too. Is it the same when you have to multiply with mixed numbers?
No, and I'm glad you asked. With mixed numbers, you must do, in a sense, like method 1. You're gonna have to change them both into improper fractions.
Okay, that's the only step, and then follow through with this example.
Right. With that
awesome.
example.
Okay.
All right,
Gotcha.
let's do a few practicing, and normally it doesn't take much.
Can I have a question?
Sure.
Okay, for this multiply, you multiply 4 times 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then the upper one you multiply 3 times 5, right?
Right, straight across.
Okay.
Yep, and so we're going to do a few of those real fast just to make sure that everybody understands it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you asked a question about mixed numbers and multiplication, because people want to try method 2, but method 2 unfortunately will not work. There is only one way to multiply them. All right, so for number 1, let's just try 2/3 times, let's say 5. Number 2, let's just try 1/2 times 1/3. Number 3, let's mix it up a bit. 1/2 times 3/4. And then number 4, what time is it? 7:45. And then 2/2 times 3 1/3.
Después de 21.
Can we send in our answers?
Yes, you can send in your answers.
What?
Well, I'm feeling guilty. There is another way that you can multiply those mixed numbers, but you don't, it's just going to take a lot of work. So but I felt guilty saying there's no other way. There's no other way that I want to show you. Let me say it that.
That's right.
And once you get your answers, you can send them in. If you want to know if it's right, correct, you can send it privately, because I don't want to say it aloud and then people haven't had a chance to work it out. I know that was an issue before.
Look, it's a worse than laundry.
So if it's on in improper fraction, you want us to break it down?
Yes.
Oh.
That's
All right, so Justine, all right, Dorcas, for your first one, that's correct. And your second one is correct as well. Justine, your first 2 are correct. And just check those last, oh, wait, sorry, I got mixed up. Some new one came in. Let me just respond to you guys privately. That way I don't get confused with who is sending what as they're coming in fast now. But Dorcas, your first 2 are correct.
For the third one, the answer I got is a mixed number. Can I send it? I don't know if I'm right or not. But
Oh yeah, you can send it. It will be a mixed number. Where was I? Now everybody's come in. Okay, it's Oh, wait, Latavia, I just think were you sending a mixed number, Latavia?
Yes, I did.
Okay, for number 3, I thought you was writing an improper fraction, but I see that
Also
you,
realize.
yeah. And number 4,
Mixed number.
number 4 is correct too. I thought you were writing an improper fraction. So you got them all right.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
I just happened to look up again. I was like, wait. So next time, put a space between them. That way it'll stand out more.
Okay.
So just this is to everyone. If you want to write a mixed number, just write the number, click a space, and then like that. You should see 3 halves.
Yeah.
Do it that way. If you don't put a space, it's going to look like 31/2.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it looks weird.
Yeah, so just make sure you put a space just so that you can tell the difference there. All right, so I have a lot of answers coming in, so you guys are working fast, which is good. But because I want to get to division real fast, I'm just going to go over the answers. So if I didn't get to you, my apologies for the sake of time, as I just want to show you how easy it is to do division as well. And then on Thursday, we'll just recap on all the fractions again. And if there are no other questions, we will move on during that time. All right, so remember, multiply straight across. So 2 times 5, as most of you sent, is 10/21, and you cannot reduce that anymore. So that is the answer. For this one, same thing. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6, and that is the answer. All right, this one here takes just a little bit more work. You're going to multiply, remember, and then add. So 2 times 1 is 2, plus the 1 is 3/2. And then because you now have a fraction, you can multiply straight across. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 4 is 8. Because that is an improper fraction, and GED, once your answer is in mixed number form, you're going to say, how many times can 8 go into 9? 1, with 1 left over 8. Remember, the long way is to do long division. You say 8 into 9, etc., and work your way down. And remember, when you want a mixed number, you leave the remainder. The remainder represents, that's your remainder there. So it's always the quotient plus the remainder over the divisor. All right, for the second one, same thing. You're going to multiply here. Let me change the color so I don't mix it up. We're going to multiply. 2 times 2 is 4. Add. You get 5/2. And then we're multiplying by 3 times 3 is 9. And add 9 plus 1 gives us 10/3. And remember, if multiplication is straight across, so 5 times 10. Right, 5 times 10 is 50. 2 times 3 is 6. And how many times can 6 go into 50?
8.
8 times with how many left over?
2 and 6. 2 over 6.
6. But what can you do with that 2 6?
You break that 1/3.
Right, that can reduce down to 1/3 because they're both divisible by 2. And so because of that, you get 8 1/3. All right, so that's how you do multiplication. Any questions? All right, so let's now just throw in division. You can look at the rules for division in the book, but to divide fractions, dividing fractions, we don't have a specific rule to divide fractions. And so what we do, we use our understanding of opposite operations. What is the opposite of addition?
Subtracting.
Subtracting. What is the opposite of multiplying?
Division.
Division. So we're going to use our understanding of that to divide fractions. So to divide fractions, there's a nice little acronym that you can remember. It's keep the first fraction. So keep the first fraction. Change the sign to multiplication. And then flip. That means to invert, reciprocate. That's the better term. Flip the second fraction. or the last fraction. All right, so keep, change, flip, KCF, not KFC. All right, keep, change, flip. You keep the first fraction, change the sign to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction. And by flip, we mean literally to flip it, right? And the mathematical term for that is to invert or to reciprocate. We find the reciprocal of the fraction. Now, the reciprocal of the fraction is the opposite. It's the same thing as dividing. So we're using our understanding of the opposite operation to do the opposite thing, because we don't really have a way to divide fractions the way that we do, or procedural methods that we do for the other three operations. So for number one, let's say I had 2/3 and I divided that by 4/5. And then number two, we have, let's say, 2/7 divided by, making up fractions can sometimes be tricky. 1/4. Number three, let's throw a mixed number in there. All right, whole number, all right, really throw you for a loop. And then the last one, 2 1/4 divided by 1/3. All right, just for time's sake, we could do these together, and we'll do some more on Thursday. So remember, we're going to keep the first fraction, 2/3, keep the first fraction. We're going to change the sign from division to multiplication. And because we did the opposite operation, we just changed the operation, we're going to have to do the opposite fraction now. We're going to have to do the opposite and flip it. So we just did it. Keep the first fraction, change the sign, flip the second fraction. And then once you do that, multiply. And done. So you multiply that. So 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 4 is 12. And multiply and reduce. Let me put all that in there too. Multiply and reduce. But by multiply, I assume you know to do the rest, like reduce the fraction, change it to a mixed number, all that stuff. So that's what I mean by multiply. So for here, 10/12 can reduce by dividing both sides by 2. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So 2/3 divided by 4/5 will give us 5/6. You can try to do the rest before me. We have 2/7 divided by 1/4. Keep the first fraction. Change the sign. And because you've changed the sign, you have to do the opposite now. 4/1. Flip the fraction. Once you do that, multiply. That's it. 2 times 4 is 8. 7 times 1 is 7. That's a mixed number. So remember, change that mixed number to 7 is 1 and
7.
1/7. That's correct. 1 and 1/7. So there you have it. Here we have 1 and 2/3 divided by a whole number. Well, before we do any keep, change, flip, let's make sure we change our mixed number into a fraction. So 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 2 gives us 5/3. Divided by, to write a whole number as a fraction, any whole number can be written as a fraction by putting it over 1. Any. 235 as a fraction is 235 over 1. So any whole number as a fraction is over 1. Now I could do my keep, change, flip. Keep the first fraction, 5/3. Change the sign to multiplication. And then because I changed the sign, I need to change the last fraction. So
5/9.
1/3. And so 5 times 1, 5/9 as was stated.
Yeah.
Right, and that one can't be reduced, so that's your final answer. All right, so the last one will take us right to the end of class.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
On number 3, you said we have a 3 as a whole. So the whole number over 1 will always give you that? That's
Right.
how you break it down?
Any whole number can be written as
Over
a
1.
fraction over 1. No matter
Awesome.
what
And then
that number
over
is.
here, you just inverted it, and that's why we got 1/3. Awesome.
Right.
Okay.
And we inverted it because we changed the sign. Once you change the
Yes.
sign, you have to invert it.
Okay. So any whole number over 1 gives you that whole number.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and then the last one here, we have 4 times 2 is 8, plus that 1 gives us 9/4. Then I'm just going to keep the division for now. 3 times 1 is 3, plus that 1 is 4. 4 over 3.
Keep change flip.
Change flip, so 9 over 4 times 3 over 4. And then multiply. 9 times 3 is
27.
27. 4 times 4 is
16.
16. And then change it to a mixed number. 16 goes into 27.
1.
1 time with how many left over?
11.
11 over
16.
16. And done. That's how we do all of fractions. Now on Thursday, we're just going to add some more stuff in there, like the language. When you hear the word of, like 3/4 of a number, that just means multiply. We do some more of the questions in the book. And then hopefully, if you've practiced, we should be able to get through it relatively easy. And we'll be on to ratios and proportions.
Okay.
All right, so that's it for today. Hopefully you learned something new and reinforced other things that you might have had problems with. Now, if there's no other questions, then I'll see you on Thursday. But those who are new, make sure you download the Remind, because that's where I just put those files for you to practice.
So for homework will be our files that you just sent, right, earlier
Right,
in
the
class?
files that I sent, and if you haven't, more than likely you ran into a lot of trouble on the workbook because we hadn't got to all of these.
Right.
So if you haven't finished the workbook, finish the workbook and work on those worksheets.
So the workbook
Hey,
will
Mr.
be
Ren.
lesson 4, right?
Say that one more time. The workbook,
Would be lesson 4, right?
yes, lesson 4 in the workbook.
Mr. Ren,
Yes.
what you say we should download?
Remind, R-E-M-I-N-D. You can find it, I'll send it in the chat. It's R-E-M-I-N-D, like to remind somebody. So you can find it on the App Store. If you're on, I'm not sure if you're Apple or Android, but on the Apple Store, Google Store, whichever one, just type in Remind, and more than likely it's the first thing that you'll see. If you do not have a smartphone, you can also access it on internet by going to remind.com. Once you do that, what you want to do is it's going to ask you to join a class. And I'll just share with you real fast what that looks like. Hopefully no one sent anything private. If you have to go, totally fine if you're gone.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ray.
Hi, Ngozi. Ngozi, how you
Bye,
doing?
Mr. Ray. Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great one. Enjoy it. Enjoy your evening and your days.
Okay.
And
Thank
see
you, Mr. Ray.
Thursday. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Great night,
Have a
brother.
good night.
Have a good night.
Night.
Enjoy your Wednesday.
Bye, Justin, Marina.
Oh, Ngozi, how you doing?
I'm fine. Where are you? Where you come from?
You forgot about me? I remember you.
Oh, are you the one that work in Walmart?
No, I work with the school district. Ngozi, don't worry. I will talk later. I will
Okay.
call your husband, then you
Okay, my dear. Thank you so
All right,
much.
we have a reunion there. That's good.
Yeah, I know.
Good night, guys.
All right, Daniel, were you able to get on Apex?
I did not get the information from you. I don't think that it was able to send out the information.
It didn't go through?
No.
I sent
Remember-
it in this chat. Let me send it on Remind. That way I know for sure it goes through.
Hey, Mr. Ray.
Remind. Yeah, Remind.
Come on, John question.
I'll send it to you real fast on Remind.
Send me an email or something.
Wait. You should already have the information. Remember you said you had science.
Yes, well, okay, I have that, but weren't you going to log me on so I could get on there?
Yeah, you should see it. Soon when you log on, you don't see it?
Okay, let me log on.
Yeah, you should see it once you log on. You see yours, you see math, GD math or something.
Right.
All right, and so Ngozi, that code's there. Stacy, did you get the website or the Remind app?
Yeah, I got it.
And did you get the code as well?
Mr.
Yeah, I
Ray,
already got all
what
signed
is
into
it?
it and everything.
Okay, perfect. So you see the files there. Just make sure you click, let me see all the other previous conversations, and that way you could get all the access.
Mr. Ray?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Alright,
Someone was
thank you.
calling me.
Okay, so I'm good?
All right, you got it, Daniel? You see both of them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that way you can go forward. Because I
Okay.
you know, I can see you could go a little faster, so you could do that.
Okay,
All right?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you.
problem. Have a great
You
evening.
guys have a good night.
Thank you. Did somebody call me? Ask a question? Okay, I thought I heard my name. Night, Marisol. Have a great evening. So it looks like, okay, and Ngozi, did you call me? Because it's just 3 of you here now.
I actually had a question.
Okay, go ahead, Stacy.
For all this, like, for that I've missed, is there any way that I could go back to that, or?
I'm working on putting all the classes on YouTube. So I hopefully should have it up by the end of the week, as I've had a lot of new people come in. As some people get jobs, and so once they get jobs, a space opens, and then like how you possibly came in, it allows more people to come in. So since last week, we've had about 10 new people. So of course, everyone's asking the same question. So more than likely, what I'm doing with another class, I'm just uploading the pre-recording. So if you want to watch them, you can take out the time to watch them, or fast forward through them. The other option is just to work on the worksheets that have been putting up there. And if you have any questions, just let me know, or work on the workbook and any questions that you have. Now, you might have heard some people say the answer key. At the back of the book, there's an answer key, and you can use that to assist you to see if you're doing it right. If you're just not getting it, even after you read it, because sometimes even their explanations aren't that clear, you can ask me to do a problem in class, like what you heard earlier. Somebody asked for a previous lesson. I'm totally fine with that, because it helps people to go over it. There's a lot of information, and you know, it's good to review it. So if you have a question from, let's say, lesson 2 or lesson 3, after going over it, feel free to ask it on Thursday. It's going to require just a bit of work, but you didn't miss too much. Lesson 1 was whole numbers and place value, and how to round. Lesson 2, what did we touch on lesson 2? Lesson 2 was lesson 3 was integers, and lesson 2 was the operations. And for the most part, we've been doing that in fractions. So you might have saw the negative number there. That was something we learned before. The operations doing the long division, we learned that in lesson 2.
Okay.
So how do you feel with like long division, multiplication by hand?
Like, what do you mean? Like, how do I get how to
Like
do it?
if I gave you a
Or?
long division problem, like divide 12 into 87, could you do it?
I would have to write it down.
But do you think you can get the answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will put up, I think I have one there, but I'll just put up another one again, a division worksheet, and you can practice on those as well. And if you have any
Okay.
issues, just let me know, because as you saw today, long division pops up dealing with fractions. So it is something we can still review if you still need some practice. Actually, yeah, I have to give a worksheet because it's not in the student book. Let me just check real fast. It might be in the workbook, but I know it's not in the student book. So yeah, you did miss a good bit because you got to go over factors as well. Yeah, so what you can do, practice, I know it's a lot, but practice the workbook questions.
Okay.
Those are the ones that are more like GD than the student book.
Okay.
And just do each lesson, and if you run into issues, just let me know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so George, I see you're still here. Do you have a question?
No, I don't have anything for now.
All right, and Ngozi, do you have a question? Looks like she's not there either. All right, well, see you both then on Thursday.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.